Awesome. Awesome. So, welcome to you guys who are out there. What I'm recognizing is that we have um, a few different ways by which people are engaging, and that is intentional, totally on purpose. And so, what we're just trying to do is make it to where what is being recorded visually is the most optimal for what we do when it comes to posting this on social media. And so what we'll have is we'll have a guest speaker today, and when he speaks to us, we'll both be on the screen, him and I. Uh, but the other folks who aren't speaking will not be on the screen, and so that's just the setup. But I would say, therefore, what we want to do is make sure that we're communicating via the chat that is also here on StreamYard, as well as WhatsApp. And so, for the folks who are here, I recognize that Donovan is part of the WhatsApp group, but Miss Thibodeau is not. I'm glad to see you, Miss Thibodeau. And so, what I want to do, one, you can communicate with this chat, but then two, we'll also be sending the WhatsApp group link, and by the end of our time together today. Um, and so, with that being said, we'll get started in just a bit. Again, just giving people a chance and opportunity to get located, get situated with what's happening. I'm getting some messages here on WhatsApp currently. Alkeisha's asking, it's the same link on the email, right? So, okay, cool. Yeah, okay, so she's about to log in just a second. Um, so yeah, we'll get started in just a bit. I will be also reading his bio in just a bit as well, and we'll be checking in uh, before he starts. Oh, so I'm supposed to send this to. Just going to text one of the other folks who are interested. So, can you let me know if you've written anything in the chat? And if you have, do I have the chat posted here? So I know there's two different ones.
Right.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
it's the one on the right, huh?
The private chat.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Mhm. Cool. Good stuff. All right, we got Tina, we got Maria, and Donovan. I know Alkeisha is also here. Cool. So, first things first, I did want us to get grounded before we begin. Just piggybacking off of the conversation that we were having last week about the importance of not forgetting, right, the other aspects of our lives, the other aspects of who we are. Um, in all the work that we're doing and all the work that we will be doing for our nonprofits, and um, especially because we have the intentions to grow, right? And so with that being said, I just want to take a second to do just a breathing exercise. We'll do the some breathing exercises real quick, just again to kind of get back into a good space mentally, whatever we're dealing with, whatever we may be having on our mind. I know we can have a lot of things on our plates, and therefore we just want to, one, get present with where we are right now, and then two, acknowledging again just the whole rest of us that is present. And so the breathing exercise that I've seen that I liked is to do to inhale and hold. I say inhale for 5 seconds, hold for 5 seconds, and exhale for 5 seconds. And we'll do that, I would say, probably like, let's say like 6 times. And just again, an effort to get into this space and get into a good space as we're here. Let us inhale. Actually, let me do a timer too, and that will be useful. Um, I'll count 3. 1, 2, and 3. So let's inhale. Holding it. Exhaling. Inhaling again. Exhaling again. Okay. So again, one, thank you all for being here. Um, Not knowing again where everybody is, how everything was over the weekend. I hope everybody's weekends were great. Like we said, like I said, we had a whole bunch to do this weekend. There was a lot going on, which I've mentioned before. We love it. We love it. We love it. And having to slow it down ever so slightly, as my wife was pregnant. So like we had the carnival on Saturday, and the DJ was playing soca music, so people are literally running around, right? Literally jumping the whole time, being super active, and I'm trying to like be in it, but at the same time like be careful. Like, are you good? Like, I don't want you jumping if you don't feel comfortable. I don't want you having to run if you don't feel comfortable. He literally had us running through the park, around the park, back and forth in the park, as part of the DJ set. And so it was so fun, but at the same time it was super active. I did want to bring up the book a little bit. I know that people did receive the book this last Monday or Tuesday. I know some people maybe got it on Wednesday. For those who were not here last week, we actually started looking at the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. And Atomic Habits is a book all about the development, implementation, and I would say maintenance of habits, not just in the short term, but also for the long term, which was also really amazing as we get towards the end of the book. So I did definitely want to get anyone's thoughts on any of the highlights. You guys can type them in the chat or in WhatsApp, of course. Um, any of the highlights from the book, things that stuck out to you, or even things that you said, and I got to start implementing this ASAP with regard to this particular area of my life. So I'll actually pull up some of my notes. I know that each chapter talks about a different aspect of habits and the habit, if you will, formation. We talked about chapter one last time. I know chapter two talks about identity, right? Our beliefs about who we are. We brought that up a little bit in the WhatsApp chat. Um, Acknowledging that how we see ourselves impacts how we perform, what we do on our spare time, what we do when we're trying to either form a habit or break a bad habit, right? It can boil down to our identity and how we identify. So he brings up, when it comes to someone who smokes and they're being offered a cigarette, we could say, I'm trying not to smoke versus I'm not the kind of person who smokes, or I'm not a smoker. I'll just let that let that marinate for a second. I'm not, as much as I may want to partake, that's not who I am, right? And so he brings up this as a great thing. I brought this up also in the chat because that is something that we can get either caught up in, miss at times because we don't have that belief about ourselves to engage in certain habits. There are certain things that we've picked up along the way, right, from our youth. And it's because of who we are that we do what we do, right? Whether it is how high we turn up or how hard we work or how much energy we put into the workout, right? We may say things like, and I've heard this, I'm a beast, right? I'm a machine. All of these types of things, it speaks to our identity. And we say that it's who we are when we're doing a certain thing, especially when we're doing something passionately. Which saying this is the type of person that I am. And then as well, let me see. In chapter 3, he speaks to having rewards. One, having rewards, but also how there are rewards that we naturally give ourselves or we have around us that help us to form the habits that we do have. And so in this, he's speaking to the importance of acknowledging that some things that we do them because they are instantly gratifying, right? They give us that instant gratification. And then there are those habits that we do and we have to learn to do despite the fact that they don't offer instant gratification. And therefore, we need to begin to create a situation around certain habits such that they can be instantly gratifying, right? And then I'm just getting into how much I love what he's about to get into, right? So the examples he has is cleaning our mouth, um, over brushing our teeth, our entertainment over television, um, response attaining the reward. So what we can do is acknowledge that some things that we want to do, they don't have the rewards immediately. Therefore, we can have a tie-in a habit that does immediately reward us after we do the habit that will lead us to the goal that is not immediately rewarding, right? And so I've seen things like um, putting effort into making sure that we eat right after we work out. So you know what? I know I need to eat, and I will eat. But if I tie this to the time that I work out, then I reward myself with the food that I'm about to consume. Now, of course, right, we don't want to eat McDonald's, but right, we're going to reward ourselves with the food that we are about to consume. Or we say, before I watch TV, I'm going to make sure that I read because I told myself that I want to read on a regular basis, right? So we begin to tie in these different activities into, okay. Uh, Sorry, I'm getting a message right here. Cool, cool. And so we could tie in these activities to make some of those things that aren't instantly gratifying. Again, if you guys want to communicate, let me know via WhatsApp or in the chat. Again, if there's anything that stuck out to you from the book, please put those things in the chat currently. And in a second, I'll get to Mr. Terry Griffin's bio. Okay. Yes. Awesome, awesome. Okay. So with that being said, let me get some water, and I want to read you guys Terry Griffin's biography. And I see Terry in the audience right now, so this is going to be good. So Terry Griffin is a renowned entrepreneurial powerhouse and Oakland native who has been transforming the business world for over a decade. As the founder of the nonprofit organization Better Black, Terry has established himself as a passionate advocate for connecting BIPOC business owners with consumers, driving greater diversity, and inclusivity within the industry. Terry's remarkable achievements have not gone unnoticed, as he was awarded the coveted Startup of the Year title in 2018. Following this monumental success, Terry pivoted his career to become a highly sought after marketing and content creation coach, mentoring and guiding entrepreneurs to grow their businesses and personal brands simultaneously. With a wealth of experience and expertise under his belt, Terry has become an influential figure in the world of entrepreneurship, inspiring and empowering countless individuals to achieve their goals and reach their full potential. His innovative and dynamic approach to business has earned him a reputation as one of the most impactful speakers in the industry, making him a highly sought after guest for events and conferences around the world. So, let me bring Terry on right now. Is he on, Naya?
Yes.
Terry, can you say something? Can we hear you? Are you unmuted?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
The volume, okay. Okay, you there, Terry?
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can. I think it was muted on my side. Cool, cool. So I wanted to, I'm so glad that you're here. Glad that we were able to make it work, make it happen. I wanted to just briefly let them know about when I first met you, the impressions that you have given me, do give me currently as well, and the impact that I not only see you having, not only currently, but I've seen you having for a number of years now. With the Level Up program, I've let everybody know when we started that we were just working with folks who were in the nonprofit that I work for, right? And so what we have is a 50-year-old, literally is turning 50 this year, nonprofit organization, been doing it. And so everybody's pretty much employees. And when I started bringing people in, I said, hey, they want to learn about finances, so we're going to get people from the finance department. They want to learn about marketing, so we'll get people from the marketing department. And no one really was coming from that standpoint of I had to build this from the ground up. And so I wanted to bring in folks like yourself who are out there grinding in various different ways. And not only for the last year or maybe 2 years, but literally for years now, working with and getting your brand out there, the work that you do, and not just doing one thing, right? And so I'm definitely glad that one, that you're here, but then two, able to share again the work behind what people can see, even though you do give us a lot of information. Via the internet, social media and so forth. So we can see some behind the scenes things. But like I know, there's only so much that you can show on the camera, right? And so there's going to be some more things that you can share. But of course, what we're doing, we're working with the folks who want to have a nonprofit organization or already have a nonprofit and they're trying to get it going, trying to keep it going. And so I definitely want to get your thoughts on how to get things going. So, just first, how's it going today so far? How are you doing?
I am doing well. It is early, but I'm up. Nah, it's this I think this is the first like morning class I've had or anything like that. So but I'm good though. It's a good day. It's what, Wednesday, the middle of the week. So I'm doing well. I appreciate you for having me though. I really do.
Word. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and I'm glad that you're here. So again, the first time I believe I ran into you was at an event. I want to say that was at Youth Uprising. I think that's the first time I met in person. And you were particularly speaking about Better Black. But I also know that I've seen you at other events, whether we're talking about Black Joy Parade, we're talking about the Fam Bam events in Oakland. Either wearing your own attire or talking about your brand and getting the word out. So even then, it brings up the question: when did you like first get started with wanting to be an entrepreneur, and how did that come about?
So me first, so I used to run an after school program in Oakland and I was a basketball coach.
Mhm.
As a basketball coach, every year, when my kids came back from summer, it was like starting all over again.
Mm,
And it was just like, I'm tired of the process. And so it's just like, what can I do to keep my kids active during the summer to get them better? And so my first business was a basketball team. I started a youth basketball team, AAU team. I don't know if you guys know about AAU. AAU is very expensive.
right, that's all I know.
It's super expensive. So I just wanted to create a local team where we just played in tournaments locally, maybe visit Sacramento and Fresno, but like just stay around the Bay Area and made it more affordable. So that was my first business that I did. And then then also went to putting on events, right? I had to put on tournaments, I had to fundraise money and do all that kind of stuff. So that was the first business I did, right? They tell you when you're starting a business, you want to make sure that you're solving a problem. And so my problem that I was solving was of offering affordable basketball to kids in Oakland. And so that was the first business I started. And ever since then, I was just I loved it. It's like doing something that I love and then having the kids and then didn't have a boss, being my own boss. I was like, oh yeah, I like this. So that was my first step into entrepreneurship.
Word. And no, that's important to hear too, because what we do know too is that some people may love the idea, right, of entrepreneurship and may like the idea, like you said, not having a boss, but to actually like and like you mentioned, love not having a boss is different because you do have to have like that self discipline. You do have to have your own systems and schedules and plans and following through. And so, was that something that either came natural? Was it something that you easily got to the groove of? How was that for you?
Um, it came natural only because as a coach, you're even though as a coach I was paid, I was under contract through like OUSD or like the after school program, but I was still running my own program,
Mhm.
right? And I'm still running my own show. So it's still similar. Um, but then it's just when it came to like doing events or raising money or going tournaments, I couldn't go ask my boss. I had to like either ask the parents and they didn't have the money. So it's figuring out fundraising and doing things like that. So if that was it, but it's just when I look back on it now and I think about like when I first started, like the knowledge I have now, if I had it then, oh my gosh, it would have been a world of difference, right? Just the different systems you put in place and just how you organize things. So it's definitely a learning curve. Um, and it's just something that you just certain things you can't be taught. You just have to experience it to know it.
Right, right. And so, what year was that? When were you doing the AMU stuff?
Ooh, couldn't even tell you. 16, 15, 2015,
Uh huh.
maybe 2015.
Word, word. Right. So again, just speaking to the fact that you haven't been doing this for a few weeks, right? You haven't been doing this for a few months, but you've been getting at it for close to a decade, right? And so that really speaks to again that experience, but also what you were just saying. Man, if you would have known certain things starting off, how much more effective you would have been, how much more you would have been able to accomplish had you. Have the information that you do at this point. And so, with that being said, especially speaking to the fact that you mentioned the importance of experience, that people can't necessarily just teach you everything. I know from seeing you on Instagram that you have been to a number of conferences, a number of spaces where, and not just locally, right? I was
Right.
actually in Atlanta a couple of times as well, and so just seeing you, seeing those spaces, taking advantage of those spaces. What type of value do you put on engaging in that type of those activities on this journey?
That is number one.
Okay.
Um, Relationships are most important in business, right? And so being in these different spaces, going to different events, networking with different people, I believe that's the number one thing in business, right? Relationships is going to get you in places that money can't. Right,
Mhm.
relationships is going to offer you are going to get you opportunities that money can't, because everybody ain't going to work with you just because you have money. People want to work with people that they have relationships with, right? The money is an addition, but the money is the relationship over the money that's going to get you into different rooms, is going to get you at different events, is going to get you different opportunities. Just think about, are you going to work with somebody, like if you were somebody with money and you needed to work with somebody, you want to work with somebody that you have a relationship with, that you trust, that you know, that you like working with, over just working with somebody else that may have some money as well. So building relationships is going to be number one as an entrepreneur, especially like in the nonprofit space, right? My first legitimate business was a nonprofit, right? And you're going to need relationships for getting into rooms for different grants or different opportunities, or people giving you funding or giving you money, or stuff like that. So relationships and networking, I really feel, is like the most important thing as an entrepreneur.
Mhm. And I hear that. I hear that. And I recognize this even came up in our discussion last week that some of us aren't the most comfortable in social settings, right? Some of us are, some of us thrive, right, on being around other folks, being at the event, conversing with folks either we do or we don't know. And so, with that being said, what advice would you give to the folks who are like, man, like, don't get me wrong, I like the idea of networking. I like the idea, or I even see the importance of networking, but networking can be so hard in person on me emotionally
Right.
and mentally. What do you suggest for those folks?
So two things. The first thing is, if you are an introvert and don't have, your social battery gets low fast, partner with someone who isn't,
Mm,
right? Teamwork is important too, right? We try to do a lot on our own, but if we can partner or work with someone collaboratively in our business, then I would suggest get someone who's not. Get someone who can go out there and talk to people. Get someone who can go out there and push your business. Get someone who can go out there and don't have a problem with speaking and doing all of that, right? So that'll be the first thing. The second thing, for most of us who don't have anybody, would be to have goals for different events that you're going to, right? When you're going to a networking event, the problem with a lot of us, especially as introverts, because and what I like to tell people, and just honestly, like I'm shy as well, right? Especially when I'm going to someone else's event that's not it's my event, I'm comfortable. But when I'm going to other people events, I'm real shy, right? But what helps me is that I set goals. And once I set goals, I go in with objectives. So now when I'm going to an event, I have something to do. I'm not just going to an event to just talk to people. I'm going to an event with a plan. Success is planned. So when you're going to an event with a plan with goals, it makes it easier for you to move through the room. So if my goal is to get 20 new followers on Instagram, or connect and with 10 new people, or try to meet this person in this industry, right? I'm now going in with a goal, and it makes it easier for me to show up at an event because I have an objective. If you don't have an objective, you're going to go to an event and you're just trying to wing it. And when you're just trying to wing it, you're nervous, you're shy, you don't know where to start, you don't know who to talk to. It makes you uncomfortable. So if you're an introvert and going to social events is not really your thing, I promise you, if you set a goal and set a plan, it makes it easier, right? Or the third thing, the trick. This is a hack. Talk to someone there that you know, but they are outgoing, and have them introduce you to people, right? Sometimes it's hard for us to start the conversation, but if someone else can start it, or someone else start talking to us, we can follow along with the conversation. So let's say me and you, Jermaine, go to an event, and you're the one that knows everybody. So I'm tagging along with you, and you're talking to people, and you like, oh, hey, this is Terry. Do you know Terry? He does such and such. And now you started the conversation for me with someone else. Now it's easier for me to talk and shake hands and mingle. So get like what just like a wingman, right? You get a wingman to help introduce you to other people. Those are the three like hacks on like collaborating, networking, and getting to know people.
Word. Thank you. And sorry for the sound of the train in the background. No, I hear that. It actually reminds me of my relationship with my wife when I've been at different events, selling merch, whatever it may be. I've been in situations where she'll be like, tell them about this, right? Even, of course, like with the hats, like I'll be like, yo, like, no, I do this. And like the way that I talk, no doubt, love to socialize. But the way that I talk about what I do sometimes isn't as dope as it is, right? Because I don't like playing myself up. Like poetry, for instance, somebody goes, "Oh man, do you perform?" I'm like, "Yeah, I perform." And then she'll look at me like I should throw something at you, right? Because she's like, "Don't try to like make it sound like, oh, sometimes whatever. Like if you're good at it and you like it, like put some. I want to say put some ump on it, but I want to say put some season on. Let them know, like, no, like it's not a game. And so that's definitely something that she'll either encourage me to do, or she'll take the time to be like, listen here, call him, ask him this on this, whatever, so that he knows, so that like what's really going on, because he's not just quote unquote doing this, like it's something that he's really good at.
Yeah, we can shy up, or we don't want to seem like we're bragging or boasting or anything like that. So we will dim our own lights in a sense, right? And we find ourselves doing that, and it just comes with practice, right? We have to embrace our greatness, right?
Mhm.
If we're good at something, it's okay to we just have to be okay with talking about ourselves, and a lot of people aren't, right? Because we hear the words be humble, or different things like that. So we don't want to come across as self-centered or arrogant or anything like that, right? But when we are doing something and we're great at it, it's okay to let people know that we're great, right? Ain't nobody telling Michael Jordan that like you're showing off, or you're great, don't be great, right? When you're great at something, it's okay to be great. Like, it's okay to be great. Is that it's okay to let people know that you're good. It's okay to let people know that this is what you're doing. I'm good at it. So we just have to get out of our own mind
Mhm.
of like showcasing our talent and what we're good at, because our talent and what we're good at is what's going to help our business get to the next level. Or like you do poetry and you want more speaking gigs, you got to let the people know that I'm the best poet in the Bay Area. Like, how can you have a poetry show without me? Like, that doesn't even make sense, right? We have to showcase our greatness to let people know that we need to be a part of said event or thing that they're having. So therefore we can be the ones that's up there, right? And then once we get to showcase our talent, then that's how we're able to get more bookings, more gigs, getting more rooms, get more business, because we aren't afraid to showcase our greatness, right? Show being you and being the great and showcasing your innate greatness isn't bragging. It's just telling the truth of what it is that you do. And we just got to get out of our own mind of thinking that I don't want to, we just got to get out of our own way. We're in our own way. We just got to get out of our own way.
Right, I hear it. And so I'm actually going to read one of the questions I just see in the chat, but I'm actually going to get right back to that in a second. It says, for someone who is trying to start a basketball, I want to say, what does it say? Oh, it's a deeper camp. What first things do you recommend?
So the first step to starting a basketball team, it's simple. First thing, you got to have kids. Get kids that want to play, right? And then get somewhere to practice. You get those two things, you're set. If you got kids and you got somewhere to practice, now you have something to showcase. So if you want to start doing tournaments, or you want to start being in tournaments, or you want to start putting on camps, you now have a groundwork to showcase people. So let's say I want to start my own league. Well, if I got kids and somewhere to practice or play, now I can invite other people to come play against my kids, right? If I wanted to start like a basketball camp, I already have kids that I can take videos of me training them, that I can use that as advertising to let people know, like, hey, we have camps happening every Saturday here at such and such park, or here at such and such gym. So get kids, get somewhere to practice, whether it's outside or inside, right? I started out outside. We used to practice at the park, right? Cones, basketballs, kids, we practicing. Then more kids coming up and want to do it, and then they're joining. Then parents are seeing it. Then they're asking, like, "Oh my gosh, like I homeschool my kids, and I want to get them in some basketball program. How much is it? Or do you do private training?" Like, once you just get out there and start putting in the work, people start noticing, right? So, kids, basketball, somewhere to practice.
Word, word. No, thanks for sharing that. And now, Keisha, again, when you have more questions, and anyone else, send your questions in the chat or via WhatsApp, and we'll definitely get right back to you when the time permits. And so, one thing that you just mentioned, again, the importance of not, I want to say, dimming our lights in front of people, not kind of downplaying ourselves. But I also know that you put a lot of energy and effort into social media, right? And so when it comes to um, what I want to say is, for the folks who don't like getting out there, because for instance, I'm thinking about Kevin on stage, right? Kevin
Mhm.
on stage, I've seen him I've actually seen him perform one time, but I know that I wouldn't have seen him perform had he not made video after video after video after video after video for however many months or years, right? Uh,
Right.
when it comes to social media, one, how important is social media? Two, as it relates to what you were just talking about, can it by some means replace the need for I'm in person, I'm at that, I'm at this, I'm at that. And if not, how can it kind of supplement that energy and effort to network with other folks?
Okay. So the first question is, how is important Facebook? I mean, not our social media, right? Um, it's is the way of business now, right? Unless you're doing like government contracts, you need social media for like business, right? It's super important, and just think like every business use it, right? I even seen Bart advertising on social media, right? Telling people to use Bart more, and get out the traffic and all of that kind of stuff, right? Or that they're hiring, different things like that. So we just have to understand that we can't get past social media, especially in today's time. In today's time, social media is part of our life, and it's not going anywhere, and it's only enhancing. So if you're just think of the different businesses that got left behind just because it's a social media world. Like businesses are closing because everything is online. You get the Toys R Us or the Sears or the JC Penney's or just Bath and Body Works or Bed Bath and Beyond, right? All of these places are closing, and it's just because it's a online world, right? And we can just order everything online and have it sent to our door. So if we're not with the times and utilizing the resources and the things in front of us, you're going to get left behind, right? So as an entrepreneur, no matter what it is, I go to different events and talk to different organizations, even nonprofit organizations, and they don't utilize social media or marketing or different things like that. And it's just like, well, you're having these events and no one's coming to them because you aren't marketing them, right? A lot of times we just think that our mission is so good that people are just going to come and be a part of it. But how can someone support your mission if they don't even know who you are? They don't even know that you exist, right? So, yes, what you're doing is good, but you're not putting yourself out there so people can know to support you. And one of the ways of doing that is social media, right? Just think there's never been a time where you can just literally press a button and be in front of hundreds of people. Even if it ain't hundreds, even if it's 4 or 5 people and they're just from different states. But before, when have you ever been able to just be in front of 4 or 5 people that you may not know? And if you're doing that daily or you're doing that often, those 4 or 5 people add up over time, because today it may be five, tomorrow it may be a different five, and the next day may be another five. Now you spoke in front of 150 people in 30 days just by pressing a button, right? Or when you make a post and you get 20 likes or you get 3 comments, and if you're doing that often enough, you're putting yourself out there. So your mission, your business, your products, your service is not going to be seen if you aren't visible online. And that's just what it is in today's time, right? Can you remind me of the second question that you asked?
So the second question was, does social media replace the need for being in person? And
Okay.
if not, how can it supplement it? Yeah, for those folks.
Yeah. So social media isn't the end all be all. I am a firm believer in social media. I love it. That is the premises of my business. But you have to be able to do both, right? Unless you got some big following and you got 100,000 followers and you can make a post and they get 10,000 likes and 1,000 comments, and just until you get to that level, you got to do both. But even people that's on that level still do both. You still got to show up to events, right? You still got to be seen in person. You still got to hand out flyers. You still got to be in person as well as online, because the people that you meet in person you might not see online, and the people you see online you might not meet in person. So if you're using both as a strategy for your business, now it's easier for you to conquer and be known and become more visible and let people know what it is that you're doing, right? So you need both as a marketing strategy for your business, right? I still go out and put flyers on cars at times, right? Let's say I'm at an event, right? As for, let's say, okay, I have an entertainment company. We throw parties and events. So let's say it's a popular party that's going on at such and such club. I can go to that club and just put flyers on all the cars in the parking lot and around. So when the people leave the club, they can see my flyer, right? But now, after I do that, I go inside the party. And let's say I got my logo or my brand or something on my shirt, and I'm now inside the event, and now I'm meeting people, talking to people, and all of that kind of stuff. And while I'm talking and meeting people, I can mention my business or what I have going on, right? And just have a brief conversation with them, maybe exchange social media. And then when I get to their car, now they see a flyer of the same thing that I was just talking to them about. So now I'm staying top of mind, and now I'm more, and now they're like, oh, I was just talking to this person about this, right? And so I'm using both strategies to help my business because I know that I'm not where I want to be in my business and I want more. And so if I want that, I know that I need to do all that I can to be more visible and to be top of mind of people. So you got to use both. There is important to use both. Social media not enough, being in person is not enough. It's the combination of both that is the formula to being more visible, being more successful.
Right. And so I'm even acknowledging, and this is the second time I've heard this. This came up the first cohort that we had. We had a meeting with the marketing team, but you're not only mentioning two things, right? You literally are mentioning. You said if not social media, then you're at the party. But if you're at the party, you also have flyers. And if you also have flyers, you might even have a T-shirt, right?
Right.
That's at least like four things. And I'm sure that it doesn't necessarily have to end there, right? But it makes me think about how marketing is not just um, commercials, right? But marketing is your brand being on a shirt, your brand being on a hat. So I not only have I seen again the Better Black shirts, the entrepreneur membership shirts. I've not only seen the flyers, but I've seen the social media, and then I'm sure there's been ads that you funded as well. But all that to say, like that, in some respects, sounds like a plan of attack, right? It's like you even mentioned, it's one thing,
Yeah.
but if you show up to the event with the shirt, with the flyers, um, or if you host an event, because that's another idea, and I know you shared more too, and so we'll get into some of that too. But for instance, if you have an event yourself, you can be advertising another event or business at the event that you hosted already, and so you can be killing. I want to say two birds with one stone, but maybe like two or three
Yeah.
with one stone. Uh,
Right.
so what's your experience with that, and like what would you encourage folks to do in terms of just having like attacking on different fronts?
Yeah. Again, and it is go back to planning it out.
Mhm.
If you have a plan, it makes it more easier for you to execute it, right? And so let's say I know about an event, right? And I see someone ask a question like, how do you find events? And one of the ways to find events is social media, right? Eventbrite is a good place to find, and then just other people, right? Being a part of different organizations, joining different newsletters. Like we got to start joining newsletters. Like I'm on so many people newsletters, and just because people want to advertise their events and showcase their newsletter, showcase their event, they're emailing it to us, right? So I'm signing up for different organizations I know put on events, and I'm signing up for their newsletter so they can send me it, so they can send me their upcoming events so I know about it. Right. A lot of times we want to be like so selfish with our email that we don't want to send it out or give it to people, or we don't check our email.
Mhm.
Right. It's money in our email, but we don't want to check it because we got so much spam and all of that kind of stuff. But one of the ways to do it is just to have different emails for different things. I know of a lot of us right now probably got 10 different emails.
Mhm.
I got a Gmail. I got a couple Gmails. I still use an old AOL account that I have, right? Yahoo, all of that kind of stuff. I have so many different emails, but I use my different emails for different stuff. My old AOL email, I use that for any store that give discounts. I want to do an H&M, or I want to do a Macy's, or I want to do whatever store, Forever 21, Fashion Nova. I'm using that email for all of my discount stuff, right? But then let's say I have a business email and I'm signing that up for all type of events that has to do with business. So I'm using different emails for different things. So I'm able to check an email for what I'm searching for, and I'm not overwhelmed with one. Because if I'm using one email for everything, then I don't want to search it because it's just an overload of information. But if we segment it and use different emails for different things, it makes it easier for us to find events when people are sending them out. So that's one way of like sourcing it out so you can have different emails so you can sign up for different stuff or know what's going on, right? But talking to people, building your network, other people like, oh, what you doing today? Oh, I'm going to this event. Like, would you like to come? Or being a part of different groups, right? Like part of EMC, we are posting a group like, oh, this event is happening, or this event is coming up, or we going to this event. Do anybody else want to come? So being part of different communities and stuff like that is another way to find different events. I'm sorry I went off on a tangent. Didn't even answer your question, but I have seen that question in the chat.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm honestly, I just a part of me literally just wants to take a second because I think that was some good stuff because I know I have that issue with my emails. First, I know I use my email, so like there are events in my email, there's clothes in my email that if I hadn't, checked out their newsletter that I wouldn't have known about, this release or that.
Exactly.
And so I do have Eventbrite. I actually signed up for an event on Eventbrite yesterday for an event that honestly, I see them on social media. I'm not their stuff doesn't pop up as enough, for me to see it enough. So I've been missing certain things, but because I'm Eventbrite, and they're on Eventbrite now, I could get the actual email, and I most likely won't miss that if I, kind of carefully scroll through and comb through, the nonsense. I won't miss certain things, and so. But I like the idea of having different emails for different purposes.
Yeah, that's it, man. Listen, I'm telling you, it's a game changer for me, right? So I can just, so I'm not just because we use our phone for everything, and so it can become an overload of information. And you can go to your email thing, and you probably got an icon that got 10,000 emails unread, right? And that can just become so overwhelming, just like I don't even want to look at this, and all this doing is just adding up and piling up. But yeah, just even going on Eventbrite and just search networking events, business events, right? And just see what's going on and see what different people are using. Eventbrite is a platform that people use to advertise their events. And it's a platform that people go on to find events. So we just got to start using the different things that's around us that can help us. I've literally been to different events I would have never known of, right? And as an entrepreneur, like we are in our circle, in our bubble, right? And as a Black entrepreneur, I'm mostly associated with other Black entrepreneurs because that's my circle, that's who I'm around, that's my community, that's my environment. But I go on Eventbrite and I type in networking events, and I'm seeing a bunch of people throwing networking events, and I'm like, let me get out my comfort zone and go network with some other people that I don't know. Oh, I've never even heard of this organization. Let me show up to this. Or you start seeing like different chambers of commerce of different cities having business events. And it's like, well, let me go to this event or let go network here. And so just really getting outside of our bubble and our comfort zone to really just find different things that's going on. And then we're using these same strategies that we talked about before at all of these other people events. I'm going with flyers. I'm going with the shirt. I'm putting flyers on cars. Like I'm having a strategy that I can utilize at any event that I go to, and I'm still as we said, like, attacking the event in a way that people are going to know more about us, because it's all about brand recognition. If people see the logo on my hat, and then they see the same logo on my shirt, and then they see a flyer with the logo on there, and then they go to their car and see the same logo on there, and then maybe I exchange social medias with them, and now they seeing the logo and the business on there, I done now hit them with about 5-6 different things in one day, and now it's just brand recognition that they're seeing. So now next time they see me, they'll be like, hey, I remember you. And now it makes the conversation easier. Then maybe they can introduce me to somebody else or anything like that. So it's a real strategy to networking, but it can be easy again if we just plan it out.
Right, right. And no, again, this is good. I'm also thinking about a couple things. One, Nicole's question that you said, asking about finding events. I also find events on social media. So literally, the people that I follow, I intentionally follow certain people who are going to have events. So not just kind of like, oh, like they have a fun page, like I'm just going to follow. There's some of that, but even with that, and I don't know, I know that you can speak to that too. You have different emails, Terry, but you also have different pages or social media handles, and so there's one that is more focused on fashion. I have one that's more focused on the financial stuff. I follow all these people who are giving financial advice. And in these different spaces, I also follow a lot of people who do a lot of events for men. And so I find those events, I see those, so now I could just share some of those. I've been doing that more recently too. But all that to say is social media is a great place to find events. Eventbrite, definitely, based on the people that you follow, your friends, maybe, they may post it, or they may post it after the fact, and you be like, yo, like, I didn't even know they had that.
Like, I didn't tell me.
I know they were coming to town, like now, the event's there, and you didn't,
Right.
that they'll come back, and you know how to find them. But definitely, be on the lookout. And what's great about Eventbrite is that so many platforms or so many different people use them, that you can go there and look for events. Even like I did an open mic a few weeks ago, and didn't have any idea about like what it'll be like and who's going to host it. I just knew what venue was hosting it, and went on there on Eventbrite. It was kind of like my first time even hearing about it, but it was an opportunity, and I took advantage of that. And so again, you can literally go on Eventbrite, type in a type of event that you might want to find.
For sure.
They'll throw out different ones for you.
For sure. Yep. You into fashion, you into sports, you into music, you into poetry, you into business, a certain type of businesses, right? You may want to do something on marketing. You may want to do something on AI. You may want to do something on branding. Like, you type in what it is or different keywords that you're looking for, and it'll show you the different events that's along that line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And even asking folks yesterday or day before yesterday, I asked folks, I was like, what are people doing for the 4th, right? 'Cause I know, like there's a whole bunch of American flags, right? A lot of folks aren't going to be like really feeling some of the 4th of July events. I'm like, but there's got to be something that somebody's doing I don't know about, and I'm giving myself time by asking about it in June, right?
Right.
Sometimes somebody's gonna be like, oh, like, it ain't gonna be like a big thing, but we're gonna be at this event, or we're gonna be at this spot, and we're gonna celebrate over there how we want to celebrate, right? Without the flags and the kids and stuff like that. But so yeah, I would also say just ask around. The second thing I was thinking was artists. I love, Kendrick Lamar. I have my favorite rappers, favorite singers. And I was thinking about the whole point about the thing about being in person, and how while they make a lot of money on sales from their albums, their concerts are critical to their income. And I honestly didn't think that until somebody had mentioned that a couple of years ago, social media, when everything happened with the pandemic. And they were like, dude, like, don't get me wrong, like, I sold a bunch of albums, but the real money is in person. And we're in the city.
Yeah, it's so much money taken away from like an artist making an album, right? They get pennies on the dollar and everybody else get paid off their music, right? So the thing for them is having shows, and that's where they generate a lot of their money from. Is from their shows, right? Or club appearances and different things like that. And so the album is like their marketing point to get out there, but the shows is where the money and stuff is made at.
Right, right. And at the shows, they also have shirts and sweaters and hoodies.
Merchandise, all that kind of stuff, and now they get more money, right? Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So again, acknowledging, right? Like we're working with folks in nonprofits, right? We're trying to have impacts on the community. We're trying to change dynamics and so on and so forth. I know that there's differences. What are the first thing that you would say is like a main difference of ways that you have moved or had to move when doing the nonprofit stuff versus doing the entrepreneurial stuff?
I mean, the thing about the thing about nonprofit is that you got to really be on top of your books,
Mhm.
right? It's critical because you can be audited at any time, right? But when you get money that's donated and different things like that, you got to show like donors like how the money gonna be spent and where the money going to and different things like that. So being on top of your books is going to be key. As you need to be on top of your books in any business, but it's just way more strict as a nonprofit, right? Um, but one thing I want people to understand as a nonprofit or having a nonprofit is that it's still a business, right? A lot of times we try to generate things off grants and as the thing about nonprofit is that we feel like we just got to ask for money all the time, right? And asking for money can be hard, or applying for grants, different things like that. We get denied for it, we may not get it. And so if we don't have the money for it, then it's hard for us to do things, right? But if we operate the nonprofit as just like a business, we generate our own money. We can sell shirts, we can put on events, we can do different things just like a for profit to make money for our business. And once we making money for our nonprofit, now it's easier for us to have money to do different things, right? And then as we're generating and making our own income for the nonprofit, we're also getting our name out there more. And then as we get our name out there more and people start seeing all the different events that we're having, now people want to start being a part of stuff like, oh my gosh, you had this event, it was 100 people here, how can I be a part of the next one? How can I sponsor it? I would like my name on the flyer and a backdrop and all of that kind of stuff. So once we start putting our name out there more, people want to start being a part of what you're doing, right? We People want to be a part of something that's already going. Not a lot of people want to be a part of something that's starting up or it may be good or may not be good. But once you gain a certain status or a certain popularity or, gains a certain traction, more people want to be a part of it. So the thing is, you still want to operate it as like a business. But the good thing about a nonprofit, people are willing to give you discounts, right? Let's say you want to put on an event, but you tell them that you're a nonprofit, well, they'll give you a discount, right? I've literally rented out venues and got like 50% off because I'm a nonprofit. Or like having venues and or have an event and I want to sell liquor at the event to raise money. I can now get that because I'm a nonprofit. For profits can't get that. But I can literally go to the health department, go to ABC, go to the health, go to the police, have them all sign it off for my event that I'm having and I'm selling liquor at to raise money for my nonprofit. I believe you can do that 12 times a year, something like that. So let's say you do it once a month where you have an event where you sell liquor, you're able to keep the money for your nonprofit and able to do it, right? So that's hard liquor. But let's say you want to do an event and you just want to do beer and wine. they're way more lenient for beer and wine. Right now, I can have all of these. I can do that as many times as I want. And so now I'm throwing events and I'm raising money for my organization. So now I'm able to, fund my own mission until someone else start wanting to be a part of what it is that I'm doing.
Right. Where the one I'm acknowledging, I have this cat, right? Um, she is wilding out right now. She is wilding out. But this is normal. So I want to acknowledge. I maybe like looking around a little bit, and like even Naya is sitting here like trying to keep her composure because the way she operates is like there's a war,
Right.
and she's always like, "What just happened?" Like she is so acknowledge that happened. But I'm loving this idea because honestly, I never. One, I don't think about that. And when we have done, like, for instance, and we're even are we going to be having a relationship with this in a second, but like a gala, right? Like, I know that galas are specifically like fundraising events. I know that, I mean, they're useful. Definitely, you get to bring people, who are donors that have special seating, maybe special food opportunities or
Right.
options. But that's an event that I've seen people put on, or a special maybe showcase for a nonprofit where the proceeds of which get to go to this or to that. What are some other events that you've seen that nonprofits do for the sake of fundraising?
Um, Festivals, vending events, like you said, galas. Um, you can do auctions, silent auctions. Um I've seen like you can do specialty events. Let's say it's a Valentine's Day event or a Juneteenth event or like, uh Christmas giveaway or turkey giveaways or back to school, giveaways and different things like that to raise money and to raise funds, right? But you got to start thinking like outside of the box, right? And so what I did for my business when I first started my nonprofit, I started throwing parties. People like to have fun. So I'm going to just have a party. And when you pay at the door, all proceeds go to the nonprofit.
Mm,
So if I can get, and that's literally how I got started throwing parties. I
mm,
started throwing events for my nonprofit. And I started off, I was coaching basketball at the same time. So I was trying to do like teachers' night out and parents' night out and fundraiser for the basketball and the nonprofit and all that stuff. And it was cool, but not a lot of people were showing up.
mm,
But once I started throwing parties for fun, just for
mm,
fun, oh, a whole bunch of people were showing up. People want to come have fun, right? But now people also like to feel like they're a part of something or they're giving to something and all of that. So yes, you're coming to have a fun, just like a regular day party, and just like any day party that you're going to here in Oakland, right? But it's ran by this nonprofit, and all proceeds that you're spending at the door go to my nonprofit.
mhm,
So that was literally how I started raising money for my nonprofit. So then I was able to put on the free events. I was able to put on the free business mixers or the free conferences or the educational events. I was able to do those things because I was throwing parties and taking the door money for my nonprofit to fund the free events. That
mhm,
was literally how I started. And then I start being vendors at festivals. I start selling t-shirts and hoodies, and sweatsuits and all of those type of things. And so now all the shirts and all the money is going straight back to the nonprofit. And now I'm able to do more. So I was literally just running it as a regular business to help fund the mission that I wanted to, because in the beginning, I didn't know how to write grants and I couldn't afford a grant writer. And it was just like when you look at a 50-page grant paper and you need to fill out these questions. It becomes so overwhelming. You don't know what to do. I on page 3, I'm done. I don't even want to see this, right? It becomes a lot. It becomes hard. And so it just becomes a lot. And then you ain't got no money to pay nobody. People want to charge you $500, $1,000, or however much it is to do this grant for you that you may not even get.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, I can't, man. It was just like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And so, like, they had Chat GPT then, right? There wasn't no Chat GPT that I could have it fill out some information for me. You have to do it yourself, and it become overwhelming and just not knowing. So, it was just unfortunate because paperwork can be scary if you don't know what to do or how to answer it, right? It can become very overwhelming. It can cause you anxiety and it becomes stressful. And so it can just make you give up because it's too much. And there's not like a lot of people out there teaching that.
Right.
And so we can't afford it. We don't know it. So now it's like what to do. And so how I did it was just like, man, I'm gonna just run this like a regular business and just make my own money. So I'm able to do the different things that I need to do.
That's good. That's good. Honestly, I know that one of the things that naturally comes up, and I know that you've actually confronted this as well, is that, for instance, gala works, and I want to say gala, but I want to say gala. I know that I'm lost on that one, but it works.
They are a gala, just one or the other. Look,
Right.
I don't know which one it is either.
Right, right. But I know that they work, and I know that this will come up, and for the folks at the nonprofits, I know you're like, I know, is because everybody looks good, right? Everybody is eating. There may be a little, maybe a two-step, but usually there's not even a two-step, right? There's gonna be a lot of pictures taken. Everybody's looking really professional, best outfit. You got your date with you, and so it's looking on good. Whereas with the party gets a little, a little uncouth that time, right? And so, for instance, I even think about I've done some karaoke events at my place, and I want to post about it, and my brother or my friends will be like, "Listen, man, I'm gonna need you."
Don't post me. Don't post me acting like that. I've definitely gotten emails and stuff like that or texts like that. Like, listen, I was wild and don't post me. Don't show people me acting like that.
And so with that being said, right? Because I know that I bring up everybody's looking good because I know, especially when it comes to grants, when it comes to whatever, like images, I want to say it's like Sprite, right? Like image when it comes to nonprofits is like almost everything, right?
Right.
Nonprofits make people look good who aren't particularly good, or it showcases how good certain people really are, in different respects. But sometimes, it's all about image. So with that being said, how have you had to navigate, move in different ways in an effort to always make sure to draw the right and correct light on what you're doing. For instance, when it comes to nonprofits, a lot of times we're going to show pictures of us helping out in the community, right? Whether it's food, get a delivery, it's food donation, it's work that we're literally doing with our hands. Those things are great to see on camera. How do we intentionally market for what we're doing? One of the things that you did most recently on your Instagram campaign was like, if I was a rapper, right? If I was this, if you were doing a nonprofit for, let's say, like they just mentioned, focusing on something around youth,
right?
Would you portray it and to be very intentional about portraying what you do so that people get the right, not just the right mission and idea of that, but in a way that makes them want to go, oh man, like how do I help out? How do I give?
For sure. So I'll just tell you from my experience what happened. So when I started throwing the parties, it became good because it became a moneymaker, right? But also it became confusing because people like, so are you a party company? Are you this? Like what's going on? Now I'm confused on what Better Black is. I thought we was trying to help black owned businesses, right? And so what I did was now created a for-profit company. So now I started two businesses. The
Mhm.
for-profit company started throwing the parties, and it just start throwing the parties and making the money and just donating it to the nonprofit. So the nonprofit will just all be about the mission, us giving back, us having the positive events, us showcasing how we helping black owned businesses and all of that. And then the party company just the start being the vessel to get the people out to have fun, to get the money to donate to the nonprofit. So I started doing it like that because I didn't want to confuse the image and what it is that we're doing. So that was my way of doing that, right? But again, having a nonprofit, you just have to have, like, again, and I'm gonna just keep reiterating this, is just planning things out. If I want people to believe in what it is that I'm doing, if I want people to be a part what it is that I'm doing, I have to have a strategy of how am I going to utilize social media to push this mission? How am I going to utilize social media to bring out brand awareness? How I'm going to utilize social media to get people want to come to this event or donate money? So I'm going in with a strategy to, like, okay, I need pictures of people talking. I need pictures of people smiling. I need pictures of people dressed up and looking nice. Because now I have a strategy of all the things that I want to post on social media that's going to make people be engaged, right? Or make people like it. As like you see, I think I just seen, like, I've not recently, but 100 Black Men have they gala every year, right? And then you see all these black people in suits and dresses and gowns and looking nice, but then you may see them two-stepping and smiling and having champagne and having fun, right? Then it makes you think, like, dang, I want to dress up and be at that event. So you going in with a strategy to what it is you want to showcase to make people want to be a part of what it is that you're doing. You just have to plan that out. And then once you plan that out and you hire a videographer or a photographer, you let them know what it is that you're looking for so they know what it is to capture. So now you can utilize it for social media, right? And then, like I said, I have the different business that's going to showcase all the other stuff that's going to make people want to come and spend money over here so I can help fund this over here.
Right, right. And honestly, I think insofar as we acknowledge ourselves as whole people, right, who do have fun and do play and do kick it, right, and do
Right, right,
and can at times do the most, whatever it is. It can be a real thing to try to manage, what we post, what we don't post, especially in a day and age where people do, for different reasons,
right.
appreciate the realness, right? I mean, I'm sure we've seen some videos with some bonnets, right? We've seen some videos with some some very choice words and stuff. And at times it's completely, it can be damaging to what someone's trying to do. And at times it completely enhances, the if you will, relatability
For
that
sure.
we have to one's brand. And so, what do you think we can do to somehow, like, keep it, I want to say, have the spaces where we're keeping it crisp and don't shred, like, everything is nice, and then having that space for ourselves where we're like, don't get me wrong, I'm also human,
Yeah.
right? I'm also a person. So what I did yesterday, it wasn't the best, don't get me wrong, but it was honest, right? It was also,
Right.
I know when we speak in the meet, we have talked about entrepreneur membership club, when we have spoken about authenticity,
Yeah.
right? And so, any extra thoughts on just like in managing that, being real and at the same time being what the people need you to be?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I'm My biggest believer in branding and marketing is building your personal brand. I am a firm believer in building your personal brand. And I think if you build up who you are, all success will follow, right? And what we have to understand as entrepreneurs, most of us are doing it by ourselves, especially in the beginning. So if we're doing it by ourselves and we're running everything, the better we become, the better our business become. The more people like us, the more people will patronize our business, right? The more people trust us, the more people buy. So you really have to build that relationship with your people. And it's just about, like, again, planning it out and having a strategy on how you want to show up, right? You have to know how you want to show up online and offline, right? And then let's say you don't want to be in a suit every time you're on social media. Maybe you do want to just be in a bonnet or something like that, right? People can relate to that, right? Because that is who you are. But if you feel like, oh, I don't want to do it because I want to keep a certain image, right? Then you got to be creative about it, right? And let's say and this just coming off the top of my dome of just thinking it, but let's say I'm a woman entrepreneur, I'm trying to help women do blah blah blah, right? And I don't always want to show up full face makeup, all that kind of stuff. Sometimes I just want to pop my camera up, be natural, and have a conversation, right? Now I can just like brand those moments. Now I can just be like, all right, y'all, I'm gonna call this moment bonnet talk. So now every time I come up and I'm in a video with my bonnet on, this is bonnet talk, and we're just having a real relatable conversation with each other. This is the moment where I'm vulnerable. This is the moment that's behind the scenes. This is the moment where you really get to know me and we can really have real life conversations. And then the other moment is when it's business. So now you're liking my personal brand because you like the business aspect of it, but then you also understand the behind the scenes when the business is off and the real, and you relatable because now it's like this is a real conversation that we get to have with one another. So now I just brand it as bonnet talk. So now people get it. Oh, when they know when she got her bonnet on, we about to have some real conversation. So now I just branded it in a way to make it relatable so people can now not judge me, or I don't have to show up a certain way all the time because people now like what I'm offering. Right. And so you just have to think of marketing ways to introduce these different things or different ways of who you are to the people so they can like you and be and have relatable, have feel relatable to you, right? And you're now resonating with them. And so just by me just doing that, now I just got a whole different segment that people looking for. Oh, now they love that more than anything. Oh, I love when you have bonnet talk, or I love when you have this talk, or I love when you do this, right? So now you're being creative of you showing up as yourself, but people looking forward to it because you've branded it in such a way that it helps resonate with them, that now that they look forward to that type of conversation. So you just got to think of different ways to present yourself or how to brand yourself to let people feel connected with you.
Right. And I hear that. I've seen on different podcasts where I totally love it when they're not talking about, the thing I know them for. Again, I'm thinking of Kev on stage, laugh at his jokes. I love his jokes. Even Tony Baker, because they sometimes travel together and work together.
Right.
The first time I saw him, it was actually, I think it was in Oakland. May have been like Castro Valley. But I saw both of them together. And that was the first time I even saw Tony Baker perform. But all that to say is they were talking about the podcast right before the show. And it's Love Hour, and they're talking about the relationship. And
Right.
I love the fact that I can go, same person I go to for absolute, nonsense when it comes to comedy and get relationship ideas, right? At one point,
Right. Right.
not only were they talking about their relationship and their struggles, which I greatly loved, but I also heard them talk about interview relationship specialists, right? People who have careers around this and coaches and things like this, people who have written books around it. and really speak to, um, great advice about relationships, what makes them effective, what's great for communication, what's great for, the bedroom, what's great for the kids, whatever it may be. And just being able to find so much in a person, especially because they're a comedian, it lets me, it
Yeah.
reminds me that we can be not just one thing, but just because we can be different things, they don't have to be completely separate, that in some way that they can actually complement each other and what we're
Compliment each other for sure. Yeah. Because now you think you're having this relationship talk and it's real, but I'm a comedian, so I'm gonna throw a joke in here and there, and it's gonna be entertaining. It's gonna be real, but it's gonna be entertaining. So you get to be yourself, but you also get to show a different side of yourself that some people will like and some people won't. Some people may only want the funny side, like, yeah, I don't want the relationship side of you. I just want the funny side. Some people may find you because of the relationship stuff and like that part of you, and may not just fully like the comedian side of you. And then it's gonna get the people that like both,
Mhm.
right? And so you, as you're branding yourself and you're presenting yourself to the people, to your audience, some people gonna like some side of you and some people not, and some people may like you and some people won't. We can't please everybody, right? Everybody don't eat McDonald's, but there's still millions of people who do, right?
Right.
There are people who don't eat meat and there are people who are vegan. You can't satisfy everybody. I can't be a steakhouse trying to sell my steak to a vegan, right? They don't want to be there. They're not my target audience. So I just got to know who my target audience is and who it is that I'm going after. And there are people in this world, there likes, there's somebody in this world that likes what you do. There's a community for everybody. People like the weirdest things, right? But there's a literally a community for everybody. You just have to find your community. And once you find your community, your tribe, people will rock with you because they feel the same way or they like what it is that you have to offer. So as you're building your brand, as you're building your personal brand, you just have to think about what aspects that you want to showcase to your target audience and how you want to present that to them and how you're going to make it relatable.
Right. Right. So a few things. One, we're gonna wrap up at around 12, so we do have some time. So one, for the folks who are out there, we want you guys to, whether it's in WhatsApp or it's in your life or here, so definitely send out your questions, so we can ask them before he bounces. With that being said, I want to talk a little bit about, um, any of the. So one, I definitely want to talk about the content calendar. That's something that I definitely want them
Sure.
to know about and want to support them around, because it's been so helpful, not just in, developing ideas for content, but also in the implementation and actually doing it, right? I have been somebody who would try my best to like find a moment each day to be like, okay, this is worthy of a whole video, or this is worthy of a whole post, or this is worthy of a whole caption. And that is super hard, right? Because, time doesn't always permit. And at the same time, experiences aren't always worthy of a whole post, or a whole video. And so you taught us about the, importance of doing the content. I want to say, is it? I don't want to mess up the term, so you'll tell us. But in terms of the batching, but as well as, in terms of, whatever process, whether it's the calendar, run through some of that for us, because that's super helpful.
Cool. So I have a formula to creating content, right? Most people struggle with creating content and creating content consistently. Number one, the first thing is going to be your mindset. If you keep telling yourself that content isn't you, if you keep telling yourself that content is too hard, if you keep telling yourself that you don't like content, then you're going to believe that and you're going to continue to struggle with it. maybe just changing your mindset on content is like, I'm not creating content, I'm just sharing my gift. I'm not creating content, I'm helping out my community. I'm not creating content, I am pushing my business. So maybe changing the mindset and the mind frame of what you think content is, because we think of content as like, oh, I got to be funny, or I got to be dancing, or I got to do this, or I got to do that. When it's just like, you don't have to do all of that. You just need to, you're doing your community a disservice by not giving them your gift and your knowledge. So the first thing is shifting your mindset on what content is and what you think you have to do for it, right? The next thing is that we think that it has to be, oh, I got to be all the way done up. The lighting has to be perfect. I got to have this type of camera. I got to do this and I got to do that. I can tell you right now, the content that goes viral, the content that gets the best results is the ones that you make from your phone over the ones that the videographer makes. I know that personally. The content that my video that I paid somebody to do for me never does as well as when I just do it myself. So we got to get out of this mindset of thinking that content is this perfect done up thing that we have to present. So shifting our mindset is going to be the first thing. The second thing is, y'all been hearing me say, I just want y'all to understand, this is going to be the key word. I've been saying this all day. Plan it. You have to plan it out. Success is planned. You have to plan your content out. The problem with a lot of people with creating content, we're trying to create content on the spot. Because we're trying to create content on the spot, we get confused. We don't know what to post. We don't know what to say. Then we just brush it off and we say we're going to do it tomorrow. Then tomorrow turn to next week. And you're going to make a post in a month. So the best thing that you have to do for your content is plan it out. What do you want to teach? What tips can you get? What how-to video can you make? Right? What knowledge are you sharing? What's your niche and what it is that you want your audience to learn? So we have to plan that out. Once we plan that out, are thinking about like frequently asked questions that you get and answering those questions, right? We make a list of all of those things, and now we have a list of all of things that we can make. If you guys can see this in my background, all of these, like this right here, I'm just pull one off. This one says consistency. One thing I know about entrepreneurs, especially in creating content, it is hard for them to stay consistent. So, because I know that's a pain point for my audience, let me teach them how to be consistent. This says 3 things to do to become more consistent. So this is literally a video I'm going to make. I'll put my phone up. I'm going to talk about it. Now it says 3 things. The first thing it says, forgive your mistakes. The second thing is be present, no multitasking. The third thing is don't bite off more than you can chew. This is literally a post that I just put off a wall. I just grabbed it, right? But this is a video I will make. Hey guys, let me teach you 3 things how to be more consistent as an entrepreneur. Step 1, forgive yourself. Listen, we're all going to make mistakes. When we make mistakes, we got to learn to forgive ourselves and move on. Step 2, you have to be present. Quit trying to multitask. The more you multitask, the less you're going to get done. Tip 3, don't bite off more than you can chew. When you try to do too much, it becomes overwhelming and you do nothing. Don't try to do too much. Focus on one thing. That's the 3 tips on how to be more consistent. Boom, I just made a video right here. Now I just send it out. I posted on Instagram because I know my target audience and what it is that they want. So once you plan things out like that, it makes it easier for you to show up with your content. After you do this post these and you just do a bunch of these, now you pick a day to create the content. If Tuesdays are your day off, then I'm going to say, okay, on Tuesdays from 10 to 12, I'm going to take these post-its and I'm going to make a video for each post-it. And let's say I decide to make 7 videos on a Tuesday. I'll take 7 post-its off Each posted, I'll make a video. I'll batch create 7 pieces of content. I'll wear my shirt in 2 videos or 3 videos. I'll put a hoodie on, make another 2 or 3 videos, take that hoodie off and put another hoodie on for another 2 or 3 videos. I've now batch created 7 pieces of videos. Now I can have 1 video to post a day. Now I'm showing up daily because I planned out my social media and I planned out my content. So now I just created 7-10 videos. I only want to post 1 a day. So now every day I have a video to post because I planned it out. So if you want to start showing up on social media, plan it out, batch create your videos. Now you got stuff to post. That is literally the formula how to show up on social media all the time consistently.
Right. And so again, glad that we're recording this again so that y'all can catch this and not only that, we will be talking about it in the future. So I do want to see you all being able to effectively do this and get the results that come from that. Again, working with Terry again in the Entrepreneur Memberships Club, we've connected, and I've been doing my best to do that. Right, I would say, of course, there's lows, right? There's progress and there's drawbacks, but again, being able to do it 7 videos in one day, 5 videos in one day, that at least allows you to have content for the next week. But if you get to the point where you could do it on Friday, but you could also knock out 7 on Thursday, and you can also have it for 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
And so as long as you're putting in those efforts, and honestly, this can take an hour, you know what I mean? And it sometimes going to be less than that, depending on what you find and what you're working with. But you can sometimes make some videos that are, they get a lot of engagement that took 30 seconds.
Yes. Yes.
Like, real talk, it was not like, even when he was speaking to, the best camera or the best, marketing person that can help you with it, sometimes it's going to absolutely surprise you what's going to get people's attention. And sometimes it's going to absolutely surprise you what doesn't, right? Like,
Yeah.
It'll be like, this is the one. Like, oh my gosh, they go, love this. This is the deepest. It's the most to the whatever.
Listen.
And
I done planned out content that I thought was gonna be fire. I'm like, ooh, this one is gonna hit. Everybody gonna like it. Like, I done planned it out. I thought it was so touching. I'm like, ooh, this one gonna be the best piece of content I've ever had. And they'd show up as the worst, and they'd be like, what?
How?
Oh my gosh, I only got 3 likes. How? I put so much work into this, and we start realizing, but that's what start helping us and start realizing, like, we overthink things.
Yeah.
We're not showing up because we're overthinking, because it's the most simplest things that go viral. It's the most simplest things that resonate with people. We try to do too much, and when we do too much, we realize, like, it wasn't even necessary. And that's why I was just saying, like, we'll pay a videographer and we'll pay these different people to come shoot this type of content for us, and it don't even do well. And the stuff that do well is just the simple videos that we make in our house. One thing I like to say is just that if you're an entrepreneur, you're already doing the work. Every day you're doing the work. All you got to do is put your camera up and record it. Put your camera up, put it on time lapse, right? Put your camera up, record you having a conversation. Like right now, my camera's up recording us talking. I can now download this video, or I save this video, and I can chop it up and I can put it on Instagram later. I just gave a whole lesson plan on how to do a video. I am literally going to chop that up, and that's going to be a piece of content that I'm going to do later. We're doing the work. All we got to do is just put up the camera, right? It's been too many times I had conversation with just friends or other entrepreneurs, and I'd be like, oh, this was a good conversation. We should have recorded it. Now I'm gonna just put my camera up and just let it record us having conversation. Why? Because somebody gonna say something good that can be used for content later, right? We're doing the work, we're doing the stuff. We just not putting our camera up and recording it. Record yourself getting ready, record yourself cooking, record yourself doing some work on the computer, record yourself doing a Zoom call, record yourself taking a class, record yourself reading a book. Like, you can record yourself doing anything, and that's content. You put some good music or a good motivational speech in the background, maybe
First time.
if you don't record yourself.
Mm. All right. So first, we had our first glitch. So it literally just happened like 4 seconds ago.
Yeah, I
So
seen that.
okay, cool. So can you touch back on what the very last part? Because we got most of that.
I was just saying, just record. Just put the camera up and record yourself. You're not going to have videos of you doing anything if you don't record it, right? A lot of times you're like, I don't have nothing, this. That's because you're not recording. Just literally put your camera up, put it on time lapse, record you doing anything. I literally put a video up of me cutting up onions the other day. I wasn't doing nothing else in the video but cutting up onions. I had my camera up, it was time lapse. I cut up onions. And on the video, I gave 3 tips on entrepreneurship.
Right. And so I definitely, again, want to credit you with that because that has been something that has changed how we've been doing things with Level Up program. So as people in Level Up program, if you follow us on Instagram, you'll see us, honestly, you'll see it. Me doing the videos. If you go through a few, you're like, he did all those
Yeah.
Friday, right? He did all those the same day because he wearing the same stuff. But what you'll see too is I have the tripod, right? Like I'm starting to and have started to bring my camera so many places, right? To have it rolling in so many places. Uh, Also because I'm not sure what exactly is going to be the thing that's going to be like, oh, I'm so glad I caught that, just like you mentioned, right? And so you never know exactly when you're going to want to have had the camera and therefore bring it. And of course, you already have it on your phone, but I would say, but therefore, just record something, right? If you're at an event, you're having a good time, you don't have to record the whole thing, but just be like, yo, like this is
Peace.
what we had a good time with. And if you can throw a message on that, right? You like you just mentioned, I got 3 tips I want to let you guys know. About relating to whatever your cause is. It's super simple. Our phones have the technology. We have good cameras. We don't need to have the DSLR with us to have a good video, but we can just take that time to be intentional about using the video, using some photos, taking some photos wherever we're at. And also, what's great about that is not only do you have those photos for good, right? They're in your phone and not just going to leave. But when we have content, we can also repurpose it or reuse it. And so if you could even chime in on that, Terry, about just using content that was dope, 2 months ago and reusing it.
Yeah, once you start looking at your content and different things like that, it don't always have to be anything new, right? If you got a piece of content that did good a month ago, 6 weeks ago, you can post it again and see how well it does, right? I like follow different influencers, different content creators, and I and I've seen, like, one guy said, man, I made a video and I posted it. He said it didn't do as well as I wanted it to. He said, so a couple days later, I posted it again. He said it did better, but it still didn't do well as he wanted it to do. He posted it a week later and then it went viral. So I don't even tell people to post stuff that often, right? But he like, nah, I knew my video was too good. And he's like, so I just had to keep trying, right? I usually tell people, like, if you made a video 6 weeks ago and it did good, you can post it again, because in 6 weeks, you got new followers who didn't see it. In 6 weeks, you got people who forgot about it. You got people who didn't see it the first time that's going to see it the second time. You got people who may have seen it the first time but forgot about it and wanted to get the information again. So it's not always about coming up with new content. It's just about repurposing and reposting content that you had before. we have to understand that social media is like commercial for our business. When we watch TV and we see commercials, we don't see this commercial one time and we don't never see it again. We see the same commercial over and over. Why? Because they want us to know the brand. They want us to become familiar with the brand. They want us to become familiar with this commercial or with this thing that they're selling. So they post the same commercials over and over. Like it's literally commercials we know by heart, right? It's my money and I what? I want it now, right? It's just different commercials that we just know by heart. And we like sometimes
Another glitch. Oh,
that's because I went out again, but that's because we know the commercials and the people putting them on over and over again. So you don't always have to come up with new content. It's okay to repurpose or use the same content because it's our platform and we want people to understand, right? We teach a kid how to tie a shoe. We don't show them how to tie that shoe one time and be like, go on, now you need to know how to tie a shoe. We're gonna keep teaching them how to tie the shoe. So when as a person on that's teaching something on social media, you want to keep teaching the same thing over and over because everybody isn't going to get it the first time you talk about it.
yeah. It even makes me think, for instance, one of the big people that helped me a lot with budgeting was Dave Ramsey. But even again, one of the motivational speakers that I really like is Eric Thomas.
Yeah.
Some people that have dropped some dope relationship advice. Funny enough, is Will Smith and Jada Pinkett. Like, all that to say is, I watched their videos like religiously. Not because they were different, but because it was the same thing, right? I even think
Right.
about church. We don't go to church one time and we're done because we know it, right? Like
Yeah.
we do know it, right? Like let's say, you got through the baptism, you got through, okay, you probably a member at this place, you've probably been a member a couple places. You don't stop going because you get it. In fact, you go and regularly because you want to keep it, right? Because and
Yep.
even Maria brought this up last week about the habits. We don't want to just have the read the habits book and then throw it away. We're gonna go, I'm about to go revisit it. I'm about to go revisit it because it was that good and I want to keep that. Like if I'm not careful, I'll lose that information, right? I'll
Right.
think, oh man, that was fire. What was he saying again? 'Cause
Exactly. No, for real. Exactly. Like it's and that's going like the church or the Bible or different things like that. It's things that you just study, right? It's not something that you just have one time. It's things that we got to go back to. We got to study. We have to revisit, and that's what we got to understand. And that's how we got to use our platform. Our platform is for me, and the term that they use is edutainment. So it's educational and entertainment. And so I know my platform is I feel I'm a part-time comedian, right? So I know that like when you come to my page, I think about when we think about social media, we have to think about what's the experience that we're offering to our audience. When someone comes to your page, what's the experience they're going to get? I want someone to come to my page. I want them to laugh. I want them to smile, right? But I want them to come to my page and get knowledge and be like, I never thought about it that way. Or, I didn't know that. Or let me take notes or save this video because that's good information. That's the experience I want to create for my social media. So now that I know what experience I want to create, I have to think about how am I going to present that experience, right? And so you have to look at your social media platform as an experience that you're offering to people and what's the experience that they're going to get once they come to your page.
that's honestly that's another level. Because I hadn't thought about that. I do know um, that there are certain people whose energy
Mhm.
very particular, right? Like it's not. I want to say the atmosphere in the videos are very particular. You don't catch, for instance, and sometimes people get on certain people for doing the car videos, right? It's like, listen, man, I get it. you're busy, but you could do a certain environment very intentionally.
Yeah.
You can do certain, like you mentioned, attire very intentionally. You can do certain, um, even the I'm thinking about the luxury types of pages too, right? Where they have like very particular like kind of like coloring and
Yeah.
the photos are a certain way because they're going for a certain everything.
Yeah.
And that could be really important. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yeah, yeah, you just got to think about like even like you said the car. If you and that goes back to the branding, right? If you're in the car all the time, always on the move, always on the go, like for me as an entrepreneur, like I get clients, so I got to go to their restaurants or I meet do home visits or I go to different people establishments or I'm going to different events, right? So I'm in the car a lot, right? I can start a branding segment of like car talk, car questions or something like that, right? So every time I'm in a car, I ask a question or I have a conversation and now I'm posting it. So now when people see the car, they know they're expecting something, right? Just think about our favorite TV shows, especially back in the day. Everything it was like, just think of Martin, right? Let's just say Martin or Fresh Prince. It was a setting that there always was. It was the living room, it was the kitchen, right? Those were the two main places the episodes were. So when you start thinking about your content, you start thinking about making it episodic, you start thinking of like every time I'm in a car, I'm talking about this. Every time I'm in the kitchen, I'm doing this. Every time I'm in my office, I'm doing this, right? And now when people see your content, they know what to expect because you've trained them with your content and the experience they're going to get when you're in different settings.
Right. Wow. Training, because that's real on one aspect of speaking to how our minds work. And I'm also thinking about how um, Roseanne, for instance, when that show came out, I remember seeing in some movie about shows that was a very intentional effort to get a crowd that wasn't your Full House. Everybody's good,
Yeah.
everything's okay. We got kids, they all love us, we love them. It was how do we speak to that audience where you know it's a little out of pocket,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and so you think about that and just off with like I said, just thinking about the experience that you're going to offer to the people, and then going back to the train, like we have to train people how it's also like relationships, right? We got to let people know how we want to be loved, right? And you have to train your audience how you want to be dealt with. You got to train them like I need you to talk to me, I need you to like my stuff, I need you to share my stuff, I need you to do X, Y, and Z. And that's why like call to actions and things like that are so important because you're literally telling people how you want them to interact with you. Comment your answer to this, share this out for this, like this if you feel this. You have to continuously train your audience how you want to be dealt with. If you're not doing that, then how do I know how you want me to interact with you on your social media? I may not know you want me to comment if you don't tell me. Maybe I just want to like it. But maybe you want more comments and less likes. So, but I don't know that you want more comments if you don't tell me that. So we got to understand with social media, we have to let our audience know how we want them to interact with our post, with our social media that we're putting out there. That's why call to actions are very important in the captions of your content because you're literally letting your audience know how you want them to deal with you.
Word. No, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. Definitely something that I could work on and do better at is intentionally asking for comments. 'Cause I'm definitely I like that interaction. Likes are great. Don't get me wrong. I like likes, but definitely, uh, there's a lot of times where I have questions. There's a lot of times where I'm bringing up something that has complexity to it, and I
Right.
want to hear various thoughts and perspectives. So that's really good. I know again we have a little bit more time left. So again, y'all got questions? Let me know. I have more, so I want to keep throwing them out. So what I do know, right? There's some folks who are in the room. There's some folks that will watch it who are in the ideation phase, and maybe they're there for the right amount of time, right? Maybe it's been a few months, a few years, for whatever reason, and they're giving it the necessary, if you will, due diligence, right? And then there are going to be those folks who are there a little long. The bell went off. The food is still in the oven, and they're probably not making it happen just yet. And so, one thing that you had mentioned earlier is the importance of experience, the importance of learning it because you did it, you improved on it, and you made mistakes and you improved on it. What would you say to the folks who are starting, need to get it going, or starting and are trying to figure it all out? The best ways to figure it out beforehand, and also the best ways to figure out if they just need to kind of like start making some mistakes, right? Start messing up, and then get some more experience that way.
Yeah, the first thing I'm gonna just say is just do it. And this go back to what we were talking about earlier, is that like the whole mindset of it, right? We're not doing it because we're holding ourselves back, or we're not doing it because we're telling ourselves that we can't. And so we just have to really just start doing it. But like I said, it makes it much easier to do once we plan it. If we plan it, now we have something to go after, or we have a strategy on doing. Sometimes, or just go up. And if we're nervous, like a lot of people, I don't like the way I look, or I don't like the way my voice sound, just put your camera up and just start talking in front of it. And if you practice builds confidence, right? So just start practicing doing that every day. Every day, I'm gonna just put my camera up and talk to it for a minute, 2 minutes, right? And if you do that every day, you're going to get more comfortable talking to your camera and being in front of it. And then once you start getting more comfortable with doing that, you're going to start being able to do it more often and showing up more often and creating the content because you're used to talking to your camera. So just put it, so if you're struggling, plan out your content, but while you're planning it out, you're still not confident to do the videos, just put it up and talk to it. Just put your camera up, talk to it every day. Hey, let me just talk about your day. Today, I felt this, or this happened today, blah, 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 blah. You start doing that on a daily basis, you're going to be more confident and comfortable talking to your camera.
I hear that. I hear that. And I know that one of the reasons why we're doing this is because it gives us that opportunity to, recreate some content, have different things that we could share again, through social media, whether it be TikTok or Instagram. And so I know that this is a great way to do it. And likewise, like we're going to be on here again. This is about 2 hours worth of stuff. Honestly, we went through the content we had last week and broke things up into subjects, and it's literally too many videos to post. Like if we did this on a regular basis, we would have so many reels to make that we just don't have. There's definitely no shortage. In fact, there's like too many. Like I can't post that many because we have 30 different things and we have another interview next week, right? It's like I can't do that all in 1 week. We're gonna have great stuff the next time somebody comes in. So all that to say is if you did just set up a camera, you did just set up the mic, whatever you could do to hear yourself clearly, you just went. You never know when you're gonna land on a gym, especially. Yeah. And it's funny to you too, because you could be like, hold up. I didn't know I was gonna say that.
Right.
That was a bar. Like
that was a bar. That was a good one.
And so that's a great strategy too.
I said that at 1 hour and 47 minutes. Like, let me make sure I go back and record that, right? And then there's even like, and just going back to kind of how we're talking about AI, right? There's even AI that you can put your video into and it breaks it down for you.
Right, you did. Now, I heard about.
So let's say we have this video, right? It's called video.ai, I think. No, it's video, right? So let's say we have this 2-hour conversation. We upload it onto there and they break it down into reels with a caption and everything on it that you can automatically post. AI is making everything simple. So you don't even have to go through the video and chop it down yourself. The AI does it for you.
Right. Snap. And honestly, we haven't used it. I will admit that we have talked about it. I've had talked conversations with Naya about it. I'm like, we gotta find a way to do that. Because one, like I literally went again through the video to break them up in subjects last week. And honestly, again, it's a 2-hour conversation. It took a good 3, 4 hours to like get all of the good moments, or not just
Sure.
just to separate the subjects. So we have talked about that. So we might actually employ that. But I did want to say AI. We have used ChatGPT for generating captions, and so that is a thing. I do want to let people know that is something that not only is it out there, but it is being utilized. But yeah, so I'm like, okay, we got 5 minutes. What should we discuss? So first, let them know where they can find you. I definitely will continue to comment and let you guys know about what he does and what he's doing, because I'm definitely connected to that because he's doing his thing. But yeah, let them know where they can find you, and then one more question after that.
Cool. I am Terry Griffin. I am Terry Griffin on all platforms, right? Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, website. I am Terry Griffin, all platforms. That's how you can find me. That's how you can reach out to me. If you have any questions, you want to follow me on social media, I am Terry Griffin on all platforms.
Sweet, sweet. So I know that you learned that too, and I learned that too, and I've tried it. I tried it there. I'd be like, okay, Instagram, Facebook, and then I already had stuff on YouTube, and then they're like, well, you have to have this many followers on YouTube. And I'm like, oh man, it gets complicated. But I like that. I am Terry Griffin, wherever he's going. And then two, what was I going to ask? I think it was, so actually someone did ask in the chat. Can we read that? It says, Terry, can you send the AI a live clip like in the chat? Oh yeah, so I guess can you send a clip? Are you asking?
Yeah, I was just
Um, so are you asking to send the link?
yeah, asking Terry what the title is.
Uh huh.
I can't find it.
Okay, so yeah, she's saying that she can't find the link. If you could, can you
Link to what?
AI, the video AI that you said for the streaming.
So I don't. It's video. I don't know if it's video.ai, but I put it in the chat. But it's video. So if you just type in video, it should pop up. Let me see.
Cool, cool.
It's video.ai.
Yeah. And then either way, we will be again chopping it up about that more in the WhatsApp app. What else am I thinking? So I definitely want to encourage you guys to employ some of these things. And we will be talking about them more in the chat group. Again, also, if you aren't already following us on Instagram, it's Level Up Program SF. And that will give you guys, honestly, a dose, a little bit of how we've been doing things as a result of what Terry has been teaching. Also, we only got so many minutes, but remixes. Now, you put me on remixes, and that's one of those things, right? There are things that we see people do on Instagram or Facebook, and we go, I can never do that because I don't even know how to do that. And so we don't even try. And so that was one of the things I never really tried. But once we spoke about it, he taught about it, we learned about it, I was like, oh, snap. Like, this is super helpful. Not only in terms of getting likes and comments, whatever, but just in terms of coming up with content ideas. You can see what other people are doing. You can, do it how you would do it. You can use the subjects that you would use it on, right? Some of the funniest stuff that I've seen is when somebody takes a piece of the song or a movie and has nothing to do with the movie or the subject that the movie was talking about, and now you're gonna apply it to how you raise your kids, right? Those are the best, but I never knew that it was so simple to do.
Mhm,
Until
mhm.
we just took the time to like really kind of focus on those. But yeah, if you could just comment on remixes or those features in on this.
Yeah. So if you go to a piece of content that you like and you hit the three dots at the top, you can hit the remix button. And what remix is, it does a side by side video of like other people's content. So if it's a motivational speech or somebody talking about entrepreneurship or anything like that, and you feel that that's good, you can do a side by side video and it can be you interacting to what they're saying. Or it can be you can upload any video in your phone side by side to what it is that they're saying or that they're doing, right? And I don't know what it is about the algorithm, but it is such a cheat code because they push that content out more than anything, right? Some of the most viral content that I know personally that you and I have had has been remixes, right?
Yeah,
And so I don't know exactly why that's such a cheat code, but I know that like anytime Instagram come out with a new feature, they push it heavy, right? And so with remixes being something semi new, that they're pushing it real heavy. So if you see a video that you like, whether it's funny, motivational, educational, or anything, remix it, show your audience you interacting to the video, and people love that stuff.
yeah, for real, for real. Like you mentioned, soup. You can get a bunch of followers, a bunch of likes off of one video. And it's like I have one he's mentioning. I mentioned to him it's still getting likes today, and I posted. I mean, likes, comments, everything, friends requests, followers, whatever. And I posted this. I promise in like April, maybe March. Like it doesn't honestly. It makes no sense. Like I'm like that don't make no sense. But people
Two,
are still talking, and people still like.
3 months later, they still liking and engaging on it.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Huh?
it's off the hook. So yeah, honestly, I may even have to bring you back, Terry, because of again the wealth of things that you bring to the table. And so definitely I'll be on the radar, but I'll definitely am thankful for you coming through today, sharing with us, talking with us. And I encourage everybody to again check it out. Again, learn from what he's teaching. He teaches so much on his page. And we're gonna do our best to not only be learning but applying it. And so,
Sure.
we'll definitely know that a lot has come from this conversation. So thanks again for coming.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. This was fun. This was fun. So you want me back? Let me know. I'll definitely come back. We just arrange it and make it happen. But again, I appreciate you having me and letting me utilize your platform to share my knowledge with everyone. So thank y'all for having me. I hope you guys learned something, took some notes. The key thing is getting the information, which is very good. But the key thing to getting the information is implementing it, right? Don't be in what they call it analysis paralysis, right? Just gathering all this information and doing nothing with it. You got some information today that can really help you in your business and as an entrepreneur. So implement it.
Mhm. For real, for real. So yeah, thanks again. And Terry, if you could log off, I'll connect with him just for a second before we hop on WhatsApp and
All
send.
right.
Thank you.
Peace.
For sure, for sure. So yeah, if we can let them in the studio. I don't know if they care to or not. We're just gonna let you guys in the studio if you guys want to share anything by chance. But definitely just glad that you guys got to hear all that. Honestly, there's so much that he has added to me, what we're doing with Level Up, but also what I'm doing with my personal pages that I'm able to apply because not only did he say it, but I said, okay, I'm gonna give it a shot. right? I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna try that. Even this is part of what he's been teaching, and so I'm definitely, learning from experience with the things that he's been speaking about. I've seen him with some of the biggest names. When he goes to the conferences, he'll make sure to take pictures with them, make sure to ask people questions. Who again have followings of 300,000, 700,000 people, a million people. He'll make sure to go to those types of events and conferences because he knows how valuable it can be. And so I definitely know that he has a lot of info to offer. Yeah, any thoughts or any questions for Alkeisha or Felicia? I don't know if they're muted. Are they muted at all?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you guys can unmute yourself, if you have any questions or thoughts, you can share.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, any thoughts or questions?
No, I just wanted to say thank you. That was great information. Learned something new today. Just even honestly, just to build my confidence, like it made me feel a lot more comfortable and try some new things as far as like talking to myself in the camera. I mean, like I always, you talk to yourself in the shower and you do skits in the shower with yourself, but like honestly, actually getting on the camera, like let's see how you sound, because that was my fears. Like I sound weird, I think, but he was very like approachable. I feel like I could even talk to him and ask him more questions and he'll be, humble and give me some real stuff. But I really enjoyed all the information that he shared. And thank you so much for even giving us the opportunity to hear from someone else that's been a part of the game for a very long time. And plus he got my ear on. First thing he said was coaching. I'm like, oh yeah, that's my guy. But I enjoyed myself today. I really did. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Anything for you, Ms. Thibodeau?
Oh, I think I'm unmuted. I was going to say good information. I got to stop for a minute and listen. And I think, I love the idea about continually pressing that nonprofits have to not look at nonprofit, but really how we be a for-profit, but a nonprofit. I
Right.
mean, just the strategies and the engagement strategies and think outside. But I already know that, but sometimes when you are a nonprofit, you have to keep reminding yourself.
Right, right. No, I hear that. Yeah, no, he gave some great ideas, and so definitely going to encourage folks to honestly, we can support each other in making some of these events happen. At least one where we can do some stuff to not only get our names out there, but also to help each other really, again, put some of this stuff to practice. Making some of this happen, whether it comes down to fundraising or the marketing, the social media. All of these things can be really useful if we just take the time to do that. So yeah, I do want to make sure that you already send the link out to the WhatsApp. I know I have one person.
I sent you're talking about the streamer link or the YouTube link?
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp. I sent it on here and I sent the WhatsApp as well. The streamer to WhatsApp.
Okay, cool. So yeah, as long as so I would encourage you, Miss Thibodeau, if you can, to log into the WhatsApp link, and that's just a place where we're intentionally trying to just engage offline. But that would allow us to just have more ongoing conversations. Again, if there's questions we have on anything that people are trying, any accountability, any success stories, we can share those. This is what I did today. My first time, I was scared, but it happened. Any of those things we can share on WhatsApp, and those are amongst ourselves, not for everybody in the world. But yeah, that will be all. I look forward to seeing y'all soon, and we will be having our next one. If not next week, the following week. Only throwing out next week because I know that August will be a little crazy for me because my wife is pregnant, and so I'm not sure how it's going to be after labor. And so I'm going to try to do my best to kind of put some things in place so that things are more accessible in a shorter amount of time. I would just say, so yeah, I will talk with y'all soon, and there will be more speakers. They're going to be good, so be ready. All right, y'all have a good one.